First contact gone wrong. The storm had been raging for 3 days when Captain Maya Reyes finally admitted that Outpost Horizon might not survive the night. The research station, humanity's most distant foothold in the stars, clung to the rocky surface of Proxima b like a barnacle on the hull of a sinking ship. "Status report," Maya demanded, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. Dr. Elijah Chen, the station's chief xenobiologist, looked up from his console with dark circles under his eyes. Primary power at 18%. Atmospheric processors failing. Structural integrity compromised in sections 3 through 7. He paused, swallowing hard. "We've lost contact with the mining team." Maya nodded, absorbing the information with practiced stoicism. Outpost Horizon had been established to study the unusual silicon-based microbial life that thrived in Proxima b's harsh environment. No one had predicted the devastating electromagnetic storms that could materialize without warning, cutting through shielding technology like it was paper. "And the artifact?" she asked. Elijah's expression shifted. "Still. Active. Energy signature increasing, actually." The artifact had been discovered 3 weeks earlier, buried beneath 30 meters of rock in what appeared to be the remnants of an ancient structure. It was a perfect sphere, 2 meters in diameter, composed of an unknown metallic alloy that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No obvious controls, no markings, nothing to indicate its purpose, but it hummed with energy that defied explanation. "Could it be responding to the storm?" Maya asked. "Possibly," Elijah replied. "Or..." A violent tremor shook the outpost, cutting him off. Warning lights flashed across every console as the floor lurched beneath them. "Captain," Lieutenant Sarah Capper shouted from her monitoring station. "Something's happening in orbit." Maya reached the view screen in 3 strides. The swirling storm clouds parted like a curtain, revealing what should have been impossible. A massive vessel had appeared in Proxima b's orbit, seemingly out of nowhere. It resembled nothing so much as a fractal pattern given physical form, branches and spirals extending and retracting in mathematically perfect sequences. "No heat signature," Sarah reported, her voice barely above a whisper. "No radiation. No propulsion emissions. It's just there." "Full spectrum analysis," Maya ordered, "and get me a secure channel to Earth." "Communications are down," Elijah reminded her. "The storm." "Then boost the signal. Use the deep space array. Use anything." As her crew scrambled to follow orders, Maya kept her eyes fixed on the alien vessel. Humanity had been reaching out to the stars for generations, sending signals, launching probes, establishing outposts like Horizon. The prevailing theory for the absence of contact with other intelligent species was simple. Space was too vast, the distances too great. Yet here they were. First contact, and it had come not in response to humanity's most sophisticated communication attempts, but in the middle of a crisis on an obscure research outpost at the edge of explored space. "Captain, the artifact is changing," Elijah called out. On the laboratory feed, Maya watched as the sphere's surface rippled like liquid mercury. Patterns formed and dissolved, complex mathematical sequences that seemed both random and precisely calculated. "It's communicating with the ship," she realized. It was never just an artifact. It was a beacon. Another tremor shook the outpost, more violent than before. Status screens flashed urgent warnings. Structural collapse imminent in multiple sections. "All personnel to emergency stations," Maya commanded, her training taking over. "Prepare for emergency evacuation protocols." Even as she gave the order, Maya knew evacuation was impossible. Their shuttles couldn't fly in this storm, and even if they could, there was nowhere to go. Proxima b was barely habitable even in the designated safe zones. The lights flickered, then died completely. For 3 heartbeats, darkness enveloped the command center before emergency lighting cast everything in a dull red glow. "Life support failing," Sarah reported, her voice remarkably calm. Estimated 10 minutes of breathable atmosphere remaining. Maya took a deep breath. Chen, Capper, with me. We're going to the artifact chamber. Captain, Elijah questioned. Whatever's happening, it started with that sphere. If there's any chance of communicating with them, of asking for help. She didn't need to finish. In the face of certain death, even the slimmest hope was worth pursuing. The journey to the artifact chamber took them through corridors that groaned under the strain of the storm's assault. Twice they had to detour around collapsed sections, and once they nearly lost Sarah when a panel exploded outward in a shower of sparks and debris. When they finally reached the reinforced doors of the research lab, Maya was struck by an eerie calm. Inside the chamber, the artifact hovered a meter above its containment platform, spinning slowly. The darkness that had seemed to define its surface was gone, replaced by a luminescent blue glow that pulsed in a steady rhythm. "It's beautiful," Sarah whispered. Before Maya could respond, the air shimmered. Where there had been nothing, 3 figures now stood beside the artifact. Their forms were vaguely humanoid, but composed of interlocking geometric patterns that shifted and realigned with each movement. Where faces should have been, there were only spiraling fractals of light. Maya stepped forward, hands raised in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I am Captain Maya Rise of Earth's Proxima expedition. We come in peace and seek understanding." The central figure tilted what passed for its head. A sound filled the chamber. Not quite speech, more like mathematics given auditory form. Elijah's eyes widened. "The universal language," he breathed. "Pure mathematics." Before Maya could ask what he meant, the artifact pulsed brightly. The strange sound pattern repeated, and to her astonishment, Maya found she could almost grasp meaning within it. Concepts of inquiry, assessment, categorization. "They're asking what we are," she realized. The outpost shuddered violently. A support beam crashed down mere meters from where they stood. The alien figures showed no reaction to the destruction around them. "We need help," Maya said clearly, hoping her intent would translate somehow. "Our structure is failing. Many will die." The central figure made a gesture, and the artifact's glow intensified. The sound pattern shifted, becoming more complex, impossible to follow. Elijah shook his head in frustration. "It's too abstract. We need a way to translate, to bridge the gap." Maya's mind raced. The aliens communicated through mathematics, through patterns. Perhaps. "Sarah," she said, "your tablet. Does it still have your work on the storm pattern predictions?" Sarah nodded, pulling out her device. "Yes, but..." "Show them." Understanding dawned on Sarah's face. She activated her tablet, projecting a holographic representation of the storm system, a complex, evolving pattern she had spent weeks analyzing. Mathematical formulas scrolled alongside the visual model, predictions of the storm's behavior based on observed data. The alien figures went still. The sound pattern ceased. For a moment, Maya feared they had somehow offended their visitors. Then, simultaneously, all 3 beings turned toward Sarah. The central figure extended what might have been a limb, though it appeared more as a reorganization of its geometric structure. It touched the holographic display, and the model transformed, becoming more complex, more precise. Sarah gasped. "They've refined the model. They're showing us how to predict the storm's behavior with perfect accuracy." Maya stepped closer. "Can we use this to save the outpost?" Sarah's fingers flew across her tablet, integrating the new algorithms. "Yes," she breathed. "With this precision, we could reconfigure our shields to counteract the specific electromagnetic frequencies." We cooled. The outpost shook again, more violently than ever. Alarms blared throughout the facility. "We don't have time to implement a solution," Elijah said. "Even with perfect knowledge, we lack the power and resources to." The artifact pulsed once more, a brilliant flash that momentarily blinded them. When Maya could see again, the alien figures had moved to form a triangle around the sphere. A new sound pattern filled the chamber, and this time, Maya sensed urgency, determination, and something else. Warning. The artifact rose higher, spinning faster. Fractal patterns of energy began to spread from it, flowing outward to touch the walls, the floor, the ceiling. Where the energy made contact, materials seemed to reorganize at a molecular level, strengthening, stabilizing. "They're reinforcing the structure," Elijah whispered in awe. The process continued, spreading throughout the outpost. On nearby monitors, Maya watched as failing systems stabilized, as breached sections sealed themselves, as power levels rose inexplicably. The storm still raged outside, but Outpost Horizon was no longer in danger of imminent collapse. The alien figures backed away from the artifact, which now spun so rapidly it appeared as a perfect sphere of light. The central figure turned toward Maya, and for an instant, she felt a presence in her mind. Vast, ancient, curious. A final sound pattern echoed through the chamber, and this time, Maya understood with perfect clarity. "You are not what we expected." The light intensified until Maya had to shield her eyes. When it faded, both the artifact and the alien figures were gone. Silence fell over the laboratory, broken only by the steadily decreasing wail of emergency alarms. "Captain," Sarah said, checking her tablet, "all systems are stabilizing. Whatever they did, they saved us." Maya should have felt relief, triumph, the exhilaration of first contact successfully achieved. Instead, a strange unease settled in her stomach. "Did you notice?" Elijah asked quietly, when Sarah showed them her storm modeling. Maya nodded slowly. They were surprised. "Not just surprise," Elijah continued. "They were reassessing, as if we had violated some fundamental assumption about our capabilities." Maya moved to a console, reviewing the sensor logs from the encounter. The outpost's systems recorded everything. Their technology, their communication methods. "This data will revolutionize a dozen scientific fields." "And they must know that," Sarah added. "They saw how quickly we began to adapt to their mathematics, how readily we applied their knowledge. They gave us the means to save ourselves, then left abruptly." Maya stared at the empty space where the artifact had been. "They didn't come here to make first contact," she realized. "They came to retrieve their beacon. Finding us here was an unexpected complication. A complication that showed them something they didn't anticipate," Elijah said. "Human adaptability. Our capacity to understand and integrate foreign concepts quickly." Outside, the storm was beginning to subside. Maya's communicator chimed. Stations throughout the outpost reporting miraculous recoveries, systems functioning at better than optimal levels, structural damage somehow repaired. But Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something profound had changed in the universe, that humanity had been evaluated and categorized in ways they didn't yet understand, and that the final sound pattern, "You are not what we expected," had carried not just surprise, but alarm. Little did she know that across the vast interstellar network connecting ancient civilizations, a message was already spreading. "Caution. Human settlement detected. Approach with extreme care. These beings learn too quickly." The reputation spreads. 5 years after the Proxima b incident, humanity had expanded its reach across a dozen star systems. The technology recovered from the encounter with the beings now known as the Void Striders had accelerated human development by centuries. Spacecraft that once took decades to reach nearby stars now made the journey in months. Communication systems once limited by light speed constraints now operated instantaneously across vast distances. And yet, despite humanity's growing presence among the stars, no further contact had been made with alien intelligence. Probes and outposts detected tantalizing hints, anomalous energy signatures, artificially modified asteroids, gravitational disturbances that suggested massive objects where none should be, but direct interaction remained elusive. Now Admiral Maya Reyes, promoted after her handling of the Proxima incident, stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Prometheus, staring at what should have been impossible. "Confirm analysis," she ordered. Commander Elijah Chen, who had insisted on joining her crew despite offers of prestigious research positions on Earth, nodded gravely. "Confirmed, Admiral. The structure is approximately 3.8 kilometers in diameter. Materials analysis suggests it predates human evolution by at least 50,000 years." The massive orbital platform hung in space like a tarnished coin, rotating slowly around a gas giant in the Tau Ceti system. Unlike the fractal complexity of Voidstrider technology, this construct was brutally functional, a perfect disk with geometric structures protruding from both sides. "Life signs?" Maya asked. "None," Sarah Kepper, now Maya's executive officer, replied. "But power signatures are active throughout the structure. And Admiral, it's transmitting." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Transmitting what? And to whom?" "Unknown," Sarah admitted. "The signal uses quantum frequency modulation beyond our capability to decode. But the transmission coincided precisely with our arrival in system." Maya felt a familiar unease settle in her stomach. "A warning beacon." "Possibly," Elijah agreed. "But there's something else. The platform appears to be activating. Systems coming online that were dormant when we first detected it." Maya made her decision. "Prepare a boarding team. Full containment protocols, weapons at ready condition but secured. I want to know what's happening on that platform." The boarding shuttle approached the alien structure with cautious precision. Through the viewport, Maya studied the intricate surface patterns that became visible at closer range. Mathematical equations and astronomical charts etched into the metallic skin of the platform. "Recognition symbols," Elijah theorized, studying sensor data. "Species identifiers, perhaps. A galactic meeting place." The shuttle's AI identified what appeared to be a docking bay, a recessed area where the platform's smooth surface gave way to an opening large enough to accommodate vessels far larger than their shuttle. As they approached, lights activated along the bay's interior, guiding them to a landing pad that adjusted its configuration to match their shuttle's dimensions. "It's adapting to us," Sarah observed. "Intelligent design." The boarding team, Maya, Elijah, Sarah, and 4 security specialists, exited the shuttle in sealed environmental suits, weapons ready but not aimed. The atmosphere within the platform was breathable according to their sensors, but protocol demanded caution. They followed illuminated pathways that activated before them, leading deeper into the structure. The corridors were larger than human scale, suggesting the platform's creators were physically imposing beings. "Admiral," one of the security specialists called out. "Movement ahead." Maya raised her hand, halting the team. In the dimly lit corridor before them, something was indeed moving. A hovering mechanical construct approximately 2 meters in diameter, covered in sensory apparatus and manipulator arms. It approached slowly, stopping 3 meters away. A beam of light emerged from its central housing, scanning each member of the team in turn. "Some kind of automated security system," Sarah suggested. The machine emitted a series of tones, followed by what sounded like synthesized speech, but in no language Maya had ever heard. The pattern shifted repeatedly, cycling through what must have been dozens of different linguistic structures. Finally, it settled on heavily accented but recognizable English. "Unexpected visitors. Species identification. Human. Classification. Emergent intelligence. Purpose of intrusion." Maya stepped forward. "I am Admiral Maya Rise of the United Earth Exploration Fleet. We are peaceful explorers seeking knowledge and understanding of other civilizations." The machine processed this, lights flickering across its surface. "The conclave is not currently in session. This facility is maintained for diplomatic functions between established species. Emergent intelligence presence is irregular." "The conclave?" Elijah asked. "What is that?" Before the machine could respond, a deep reverberating tone echoed throughout the structure. The machine's lights flashed in what appeared to be alarm or surprise. "Impossible," it stated flatly. "Nearest established species vessels, our sectors distant. No arrivals were scheduled." The machine rotated rapidly and accelerated down the corridor. After a moment's hesitation, Maya gestured for her team to follow. They emerged into a vast central chamber, a perfect hemisphere hundreds of meters across. The curved ceiling displayed what appeared to be a real-time star map of the galaxy, with thousands of points highlighted in various colors. At the center of the chamber, a circular platform was rising from the floor. The machine hovered nearby, its manipulator arms gesticulating in what seemed like agitation. "Stay alert," Maya ordered, her hand moving to the sidearm at her hip. The platform completed its ascent, revealing what appeared to be a control console of alien design. It activated without being touched, holographic displays materializing above its surface. "It's accessing historical archives," Elijah said, studying the patterns. "I recognize numerical sequences, dates perhaps. Going back thousands of years." The machine approached the console, interfacing directly with it. More displays appeared, showing what were unmistakably different alien species, beings of wildly varying physiologies and apparent technological development. "The conclave of established species," the machine explained, its synthetic voice more modulated now. 27 distinct civilizations that have achieved sustained interstellar presence. This facility serves as neutral territory for diplomatic exchanges and information sharing. Maya stepped closer to the displays. "And humans are classified as emergent intelligence," the machine replied. "Species demonstrating technological capability for limited interstellar travel, but lacking the historical stability and development curve for established status." One display expanded, showing a familiar fractal pattern, unmistakably a Void Strider vessel. "The architects," the machine identified, "eldest of the established species, originators of the conclave 12,000 standard cycles ago." "We encountered them," Maya said. "At Proxima b." The machine went still. "Verification required. No official first contact protocol has been registered between architects and human species." "It wasn't official," Elijah explained. "Their vessel retrieved some kind of beacon from our research outpost during an emergency. They assisted us briefly, then departed." The machine interfaced with the console again. Data streamed across the displays at incredible speed. "Irregular," it finally stated. "Architect contact policy with emergent intelligence species is thoroughly documented. Standard protocol requires centuries of observation before direct interaction." Another display activated, showing a map of human expansion from Earth outward. "Human development trajectory exceeds standard parameters," the machine continued. "Technological adaptation rate classified as anomalous." Maya exchanged glances with her team. The machine's statements confirmed what they had long suspected. Humanity was being observed, studied, categorized. "When we showed them our work during the storm," Sarah said quietly, "they realized we could understand their mathematical principles." "More than understand," Elijah added. "Adapt and apply them immediately." The machine continued analyzing data. Inquiry. Human technological development rate increased significantly after alleged architect contact. Explanation required. Maya considered her response carefully. "We studied the technology they used to stabilize our outpost. We learned from it." The machine's lights flashed rapidly. Verification complete. Warning signals detected across multiple nodes of the established species communication network. Subject: human adaptive capability. A new display appeared, showing communication logs. While the content was unintelligible, the frequency and distribution patterns suggested urgent exchanges between multiple parties. "The conclave protocol regarding emergent intelligence with anomalous development patterns is clear," the machine stated. "Quarantine recommended until assessment complete." Maya's hand tightened on her weapon. Quarantine. Before the machine could respond, the entire structure shuddered. Alert symbols flashed across every display. "Vessel approaching," the machine announced. "Configuration matches Sentinel registry." On the ceiling star map, a point of light appeared, moving rapidly toward their location. "What are Sentinels?" Maya demanded. Enforcement branch of the conclave, the machine replied. Tasked with maintaining established order among developing systems. Another shudder ran through the platform. The machine's manipulator arms extended fully, interfacing with multiple console points simultaneously. Sentinel vessel requesting immediate access, it reported. Purpose declared. Evaluation and containment of human expansion. Maya turned to her team. Back to the shuttle. Now, Admiral. Elijah protested. This is first contact with an organized interstellar community. We can't just. That's an order, Commander. Maya snapped. Whatever's coming, we're not facing it undermanned and unprepared. As they turned to leave, the machine emitted a sound that might have been the synthetic equivalent of distress. Anomaly detected in human response, it stated. Predictive models indicate 97.3% probability of immediate surrender when confronted with superior technological force. Maya paused. Then your models are flawed. Humans don't surrender just because we're outmatched. The machine processed this. Historical precedent within the conclave is absolute. Emergent intelligence species invariably recognize the futility of resistance. Then you've never met humans before, Sarah said with grim determination. As if in response to her words, the platform shook violently. Emergency lighting activated throughout the chamber. Sentinel vessel initiating forced docking, the machine reported. Estimated arrival, 126 seconds. Maya made a split-second decision. She addressed the machine. What's your function here? This unit is designated custodian. Primary function, maintenance and operation of diplomatic exchange platform Ta-12. Custodian, are you bound to assist the Sentinels? The machine's lights flickered in patterns suggesting calculation. This unit's primary loyalty is to the conclave as a whole, not to individual member species or enforcement units. Maya nodded. Then I officially request asylum for my team under whatever diplomatic protocols exist in this conclave. We came in peace, seeking knowledge, and now face unprovoked aggression. Custodian hovering silently for several seconds, its processing lights blinking rapidly. Request, valid under Article 7 of the Conclave Charter, it finally responded. Emergent intelligence representatives may claim temporary protected status pending full review by the assembled conclave. Another violent shudder ran through the platform. Sentinel override protocols detected. Custodian announced. This unit's functions being restricted remotely. Maya turned to her team. New plan. We stand our ground. First contact is happening whether we're ready or not. The massive doors at the far end of the chamber began to open. Beyond them, Maya could see figures moving. Tall, armored beings with elongated limbs and what appeared to be integrated weapon systems where hands would be on a human. As the Sentinels entered the chamber, Custodian positioned itself between them and the human team. Protected status has been invoked, it announced in a language of mechanical clicks and tones. The lid Sentinel responded in the same language, its tone unmistakably dismissive. It gestured with a weapon limb toward Maya's team. Custodian translated. The Sentinel commander rejects your claim. Humans are classified as a quarantine priority species following assessment of your development pattern. On whose authority? Maya demanded. The architects. Custodian translated after the Sentinel responded. Their encounter with your kind at Proxima B triggered an emergency protocol. Your species demonstrates what they term unconstrained adaptation, the ability to understand, integrate, and improve upon technologies beyond your development level. So we're being punished for learning quickly? Sarah asked incredulously. The Sentinel commander stepped forward, its armored form towering over the humans. Through Custodian's translation, it explained, not punishment, protection of the established order. Species development follows predictable patterns over thousands of years. Humanity has violated these patterns, achieving in decades what should take centuries. The last species to demonstrate such capability caused a sector-wide extinction event before being contained. Maya stood her ground. We've done nothing to threaten anyone. We're explorers, scientists. Your potential threatens the balance, came the translated response. You will be restricted to your home system until proper evaluation can be completed. Any resistance will result in more severe containment measures. Maya looked at her team, then back at the Sentinel commander. In that moment, she understood why advanced species kept their distance from human settlements. Not out of disinterest or coincidence, but out of fear of humanity's fundamental nature. Commander, she said evenly, I understand your concern, but containing humanity won't work, not because we fight you, though we would, but because you fundamentally misunderstand what makes us human. She stepped forward, unarmed, facing the towering alien directly. We adapt not because we're trying to disrupt your order, but because that's how we survive. It's written into our very evolution, shaped by millions of years on a planet that tried to kill us daily. We don't just learn technology. We transform it, improve it, because that's what kept us alive. The Sentinel commander remained still, weapon limbs still aimed at the human team. You classify us as an emergent intelligence, Maya continued, but you're measuring us against species that evolved under completely different circumstances. Your models don't work for us because we don't fit your experience. Custodian translated her words, then added something of its own, a lengthy statement that caused the Sentinel commander to turn toward it sharply. What did you tell it? Maya asked. I informed the commander that my historical archives contained 17 previous instances of species classified for quarantine. 14 were eventually granted established status after demonstrating peaceful intentions over centuries of observation. The remaining 3 were deemed too dangerous and subjected to technological regression protocols. The Sentinel commander responded with what sounded like a question. The commander asks which category I believe humans belong in, Custodian translated. And what did you say? Elijah asked. That humans represent an unprecedented third category, a species that cannot be contained without destroying it, and cannot be allowed unrestricted development without fundamentally altering the established order of the galaxy. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. So what happens now? The Sentinel commander conferred with its subordinates, a rapid exchange the Custodian did not translate. Finally, it turned back to Maya. Your presence here has triggered an emergency session of the conclave. Custodian translated. Representatives of all 27 established species will convene to determine humanity's status. Until then, you and your vessel will remain here under observation. And if we refuse? Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. Then we will have confirmation that humanity represents a threat requiring immediate containment. Maya nodded slowly. We'll stay, but I want something in return. Information. If we're to be judged by this conclave, we deserve to understand its history, its members, its principles. The Sentinel commander considered this, then made a gesture that caused its weapon limbs to reconfigure into more neutral appendages. Acceptable, came the translated response. Custodian will provide approved historical and cultural data. The conclave convenes in 7 standard cycles. As the Sentinel forces established positions around the chamber's perimeter, Maya turned to her team. Well, she said with a grim smile, it seems humanity has finally made first contact with the galactic community, just not the way anyone expected. Elijah stared at the star map above them, where hundreds of points of light represented civilizations humanity had never known existed. All this time, he murmured, they were watching us, keeping their distance, because they feared what we might become. Maya nodded. And now we have 7 days to convince them that their fear is unfounded, or at least misplaced. Sarah moved to her side. And if we can't? Maya's expression hardened. Then humanity will have to prove that we can't be contained. That adaptation isn't just our strength, it's our nature. As Custodian approached with the promised information, Maya realized that the future of her species now hinged on a fundamental paradox. They needed to demonstrate that humanity's unprecedented capacity for advancement wasn't a threat to the established order of the galaxy, while simultaneously proving that any attempt to restrain that capacity would be futile. The real reason advanced species kept their distance from human settlements wasn't just fear. It was recognition. They had seen in humanity a reflection of what they had once been, before comfort and stability had dulled their evolutionary edge. And deep in her heart, Maya knew the truth that she would never speak aloud to these ancient, cautious beings. If forced to choose between peaceful acceptance of limitations and the messy, dangerous freedom to evolve without constraints, humanity would always choose the latter. That was what truly terrified them.